I started Save Austin Now in 2019 with a local Democrat named Cleo Petricek to stop the insanity that was happening here and prevent Austin from turning into San Francisco. That was
right.
It's a project that continues. We continue to work on public safety things.
You and I met from my brother. I don't know if you've ever met my mother, but she did go and knock probably on at least 5,000 doors herself to get signatures on that petition to get that going too. Because I mean, what happened to our town? For anyone who doesn't know, if you're watching from somewhere else, and Austin was always, Texas in general was known as, don't mess with Texas, don't pollute, we don't want any of your trash on the streets and these things. And in Austin in particular, everybody loved to come here to Runtown Lake. It's the most beautiful place. And then kind of quietly, without any of us knowing, a newly elected mayor removed the public camping ban. And public camping ban is just a nice way of saying let anyone sleep on our streets, right? And so what you're saying is you were one of the ones that headed up the movement to reinstate no public camping ban. I still think, yes, it succeeded. So thank you, because we're all grateful for that. But we still have so much to clean up because of 2 years. It only took 2 years to take one of the most beautiful cities, in my opinion, in this country and absolutely devastate it with just garbage, trash. I mean, we actually had to sell our office building in town because on our cameras, we were near a railroad track. So a lot of them would come walking up and down the railroad track. We would see them on our cameras and we'd hear them say things like, hey man, do you know how I get to the railroad track? My brother he called me, I'm from California, and told me to come meet him here because there's a camp for us and all these things. So it was just insane. We had people flooding in because they could sleep on our streets. And we provided porta potties and trash bins. Not that they used any of them, but I mean, it was kind of insane for 2 years there, and it was really sad what it did to our city. It
was, and we undertook that 2-year effort with tremendous intensity and focus. And we tried before the camping ban was lifted, and in the immediate months after to reason with the council. And this was not like we were brilliant. I mean, we saw what had happened in other cities.
Right.
Los Angeles, San Francisco, Honolulu, Seattle, Portland, Washington, D.C., New York, Chicago. Those 8 cities are cities that we studied over that 2-year period. They all had the same results, right? It was only a question of at what point they lifted their ban in terms of how far they were down the road. What's sad about it is that it did tremendous damage to our city. It did it from a public image standpoint, from a tourism standpoint, from a safety standpoint, from a public health standpoint, from an environmental standpoint. And while it is better than it was, I mean, we're not satisfied. We don't believe Prop B is being enforced. We don't believe there's a question of whether it can be.
Right.
The electorate passed at 58-42, despite feverish, hyperbolic opposition from Mayor Steve Adler, 9 of the 10 council members, every Democratic organization in our city and county, and all of their local officials. They all fought us.
Right.
But thankfully, the majority, 90,000 people, rose up and said, enough's enough. This isn't working. It's not good for us. It's not good for the homeless. I mean,
this was not a bipartisan. I mean, everybody.
Nonpartisan issue.
Yeah, nonpartisan issue. Everybody agreed. No one wants to walk down the street and see what we were seeing. I have people who I've known for 35 years who, for 30 years, have run Town Lake who didn't feel safe to run anymore.
Yeah.
It had gotten really out of hand.
That's right. I mean, it would almost be hard to find a woman in the Austin area who did not want to see the ban put back in place.
Right.
I mean, we had so many women that would tell us, text us, email us, send us messages on social media about things that had happened to them or someone really close to them. Almost every woman in Austin had something happen somewhere, and this is not just on the trail. It's not just downtown. Right. In fact, when the ban was lifted, initially I thought, it's just going to be a downtown issue. It was a citywide issue almost immediately.
My office building is as south as you can get before you're not in Austin anymore. Yep. And we would walk up. We had video of people. I mean, one time we walk up, my staff walks up at 9 a.m. and there's literally a man passed out with his crack pipe next to him on our front porch.
Yeah, and the other thing, and you referenced this, I mean, and I remember getting into this with the mayor at one of the council meetings that we used to go to council meetings and spend 8, 10, 12 hours waiting to have 2 minutes to speak. But I remember at one time hearing him very confidently say that there's no better housekeeping seal of approval. It's not like homeless people in different cities talk about what cities are the most attractive. Look, incentives are powerful. And when you basically say Austin is a welcoming place for homeless people, the weather here is very attractive for homeless people too. They don't like to be. They can't year round be way up north, right? But they can basically be here 365 days a year, and so we became a very attractive city for that, right? And so it wasn't sustainable. And while it is better than it was, you don't have the tents along the trail. It's not. I think the population got up to 10 or 12,000. I don't think it's probably at that level now. But it's still not where it should be. And keep in mind, we don't just have a city ban that we passed. The state passed a ban, which we testified on, which we were involved in. Right. They passed it on a bipartisan basis. So homeless camping is not lawful anywhere in the state. In spite of that, you do see it as you travel the state. So look, I recognize homelessness as a complex, thorny, challenging problem. It eludes us in a sense because there's not an easy solution. Right. But when you don't confront the simple reality that it is almost always a mental health issue or a drug and alcohol addiction issue, or in many cases both, you're never going to make a meaningful dent in the size of the problem, and the problem only grows. Right. I remember one of the most devastating things I learned from Alan Graham at Community First Village was if someone has been homeless 6 months in their life, the likelihood they're going to be homeless the rest of their life is extremely high. Wow. Their muscles atrophy, their confidence goes away, their skills go away. They sort of lose the ability to function independently in society. I mean, that's a tragic thing if you think about that. It's a tragedy that happens to even one person in America, but when it's happening to hundreds of thousands, probably more than 1 million in America, I mean, it's devastating. So, we have to attack the homelessness problem with I think a much more sober, focused approach. I do think our current mayor has made good progress in that area. It doesn't do everything the way we would do it. There are things we disagree about, and we're continuing to sue the city. Right. Jamie, we're more than 2 years into a lawsuit over the lack of enforcement of Prop B. So we continue to fight, and we will.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate that. Those of us around here, for sure.